Hey guys, we're coming to the end of one of the most unique periods in the car business. Certainly, one of the most unique periods in the car business as far back as I can remember. I started selling cars back in 2006, and this COVID market is like nothing I've ever seen before. You got people paying well above sticker for Nissan Versas, Toyota Corollas, and regular everyday vehicles that typically need a discount to move. You also had dealers that just about whatever type of car they purchased from auction or wherever, they were guaranteed to sell it. Customers, for the most part, easy to work with, willing to pay above sticker in a lot of cases. There are more customers than cars. So we kind of got away from the basics of blocking and tackling and running a car dealership the way we were all trained to do. So we're at the end of that market now. We got interest rates going up, prices on cars going up. Customers are saying no, like no, I don't have any more, like I'm done. And this is kind of the time to really kind of sit down and think, how do we get here? What do we need to do to move, moving forward in order to continue to be successful from the aspect of, meeting unit objectives, meeting profitability goals, and, having satisfied customers. All those things are important. And, those are the things that we as car dogs are primarily graded on. And, you really got to sit down and think about, what do we need to do? What do I need to focus on in order to make sure that we're knocking it out of the park? So going into the new year, this is the perfect time to sit down and really assess where you're at and what needs to be tweaked in order to move forward. So I think there's 5 things that need to be a part of the focus moving forward in order for you to see that continued success going into the new year, when customers don't have that same appetite, and willingness to do whatever to get a car. It's kind of, going back to where, they got to like you as a person, right? They got to like your business. They got to like the car, right? They got to like dealing with you in order to say yes. And, you got to kind of hone in on a few things, I think, in order to make sure that you are accomplishing everything you'd like to accomplish in 2024. So there's 5 things that I think that you guys need to focus on in order to see success in 2024. Let's get to it. First one is people. So I think it is absolutely mission critical that you have the right people in every position in your store, especially customer facing. These people need to have the right mentality, the right mindset, the right attitude. They got to be go-getters, all the above. If you got people that are coming in doom and gloom, they're cancer on your staff, you got to cut bait. You got to have the right people. And so I don't think you necessarily need people that know everything, but I do think you need people that are willing to be trained, that are moldable, that you can teach, your way, how you want customers to be handled, how you want situations to be handled, how you want them to work through the road to the sale. Having the right people is invaluable. Like, it's mission critical for you to have the right folks talking to your customers. Uh, Even, it's all the way down to the person answering the phones. These people are going to interact with customers and set the tone for your business. And that first impression, if customers talking to you and someone else at another store, and they get a bad feeling from your store, where do you think they're going to do business? So I believe it's important that you got the right people in every position, right? And I believe that it's important that you pour into those people. They got the right training, the right support, so that you've got those people with the good attitudes, the willingness to go above and beyond, and you pour into them, make sure they got the knowledge. So not only do they have the willingness to execute, but they also have the ability to execute. So definitely want to make sure you got the right people in all your positions, right? And another thing is making sure you got people where you need them, on the team, right? You don't want, your quarterback playing lineman, right? That's not his role. That's not his strength. So you do want to make sure you got everybody in the right position for them and their skill set. There's various tools online. If you don't know what someone's skill set and strengths are, there's predictive index, things like that, where you can kind of hone in and figure out who people are and where you need to put them so that the company benefits most from those good people that you have. So the second thing is you got the right people. You got those people trained up, ready to go. The second thing is making sure you have the right processes. So being that we're coming out of this COVID market where there are more buyers than cars, it was fairy tale world. So processes, unfortunately, I'll say it because a lot of you guys can't. Processes kind of went to the wayside, and we're kind of like the wild, wild west, just doing whatever because it never showed because we're selling every car we had. So it's important now, as some of the old dogs like to say, is to get back to the basics, uh, get back to blocking and tackling, and execute it on every step of the process. So I think there's two things within processes that need to be done. The first is, like I said, over the past few years, we've kind of gotten away from processes because it was easy, right? So I think one of the first things we need to do is kind of figure out what our process is and really do an assessment on, is that process viable in 2024? Is that process viable with the way customers are interacting with us now? Is that process viable with the way we have to handle things in order to be successful? Maybe it is, but if it's not, figure out the holes in your process and get your process dialed in. Are your managers the first people to go out and speak to a customer? Do the customers know who your managers are before they're test driving a car? Are your managers appraising the trade at the right point in the process? Are your salespeople asking the right questions to kind of figure out how to, to tell the manager so the manager can help them land on the right car? Are they asking the right questions to figure out what type of credit you're dealing with? Your process has to be dialed in, and it has to be executed on for you to find that success. So the second part of this, again, going back to that COVID market and us getting away from processes, not only do you need to have a process and have it dialed in for 2024, but your process need to be trained and retrained to your people. You got good people, right? That's the first thing we covered, is making sure you got good people. Those good people will never fully reach their potential if they don't have a good roadmap to follow. And that roadmap is your process. So make sure that your people are being trained on what to do and when to do it. So again, you want to make sure you got the right people. Want to make sure those people are trained. Want to make sure you have the right process dialed in and your people are trained on that process. So the third thing going into 2024, you want to make sure you have dialed in is your inventory. Again, going back to this once in a lifetime COVID market, you could go buy a purple elephant from the auction and it will sell because there was nothing available. Well, guess what? There are dealerships now that has inventory spilling out into the streets. So what are you going to do when somebody can go anywhere and get a car? You got to make sure you have the right inventory. And what does that mean? That means you need to take a look back over the entire year of 2023. And you need to look at where you were most successful. Was it selling cars between 15 and 20,000? Was it selling cars between 30 and 40,000? Was it selling SUVs, pickups? You need to understand what you are selling, what your mix is of your sold cars, and you need to have a strong acquisition plan. Buying cars is one of the toughest things for dealers to do right now. But if you're going to be out there playing ball, it needs to be on the right cars. It needs to be on inventory that you guys can turn. Going back to this COVID market, you could experiment. You could take a chance on cars because a lot of cars were going up in value, and at worst case scenario, they were staying flat. And we're not seeing that now. Cars are back to being cars, and they're going down in value. They're depreciating. So, you take a $35,000 chance on something that you guys don't historically do well with, and you're just flushing money down the drain, and you don't want to do that. So you need to figure out what vehicle segments you guys are selling the most with. I'll go out on a limb and say for most people, that's probably going to be compact SUVs, your RAV4 CRVs of the world. And you also need to be cognizant of what price range you're typically selling cars in. This is really important, especially in the world we're in now. We're seeing a lot of the more expensive cars creep up higher and higher on their market day supply. You don't want to be taking chances on things that, are going to be out of your customer's visibility range. You want to make sure you're buying cars that you guys can turn. So you want to make sure that the cars that you are buying are the right cars for your store and your market. You want to get cars in that you can turn quickly, make profit on, and move on to the next one. You don't want to experiment. You don't want to take any unnecessary losses. So you got the right people, processes, and inventory. The fourth thing I believe you should focus on going into the new year is your marketing strategy. How are you getting in front of customers? I don't have to say, it goes without saying right now that we are definitely in some tough times. We got high interest rates. We're in an election cycle, which is typically a little slow for the business. Amongst other challenges, prices for cars are higher than normal, higher than they've ever been. And there's a lot of things that can keep people away. There are still people buying. There are still people doing business. But what are you doing to make sure you get your fair share of those people? Where are you marketing your business? Where are you, posting your inventory? How are you getting people to land on your website and not your competitor's website? These are all things that you need to consider, going into the new year. And then once you have the sources set up and you got the right lead sources, you got the right digital strategies to get people into your funnel, what are your people doing, working those people to make sure that they're getting them into the store? They're getting them to leave deposits on cars, getting them to make purchasing decisions with you guys. That kind of goes back into the process thing. It's important, not only to have the strategies, but have the right workflow set up so that you're maximizing on every opportunity. Like I said, this is definitely a period where there's a lot of pain points, and there are going to be less customers because of that. You want to make sure you get in front of every customer that's possible for you to get in front of so that you can maximize your opportunities and still hit your unit and gross objectives. So you got people, we got processes, we got inventory and marketing. Got one more, and I think this one is super critical. So this last one is F&I. So your finance office. This is going to be the glue that holds everything together for you guys. So you can have the right people, right processes, you can have the right cars, you can get people in, you can do all that. If you don't have the right finance sources and the right people working your F&I department, it's all for nothing. You got to have people in there that have relationship with the banks, that know how to structure deals, to make sure you're getting the best calls from your lenders, that know how to rehash with lenders when you're not getting the best calls, and know how to hang that paper. If you get a contract that you put out into the street and for whatever reason, lender A decides that they want to pass on it, you can't bring that car back, right? That's not something we do. You got to have F&I people that can take that deal and find somewhere else to hang it and keep that car in the street. Not just for you and your unit objectives and your profit objectives, but also for your customer satisfaction, right? You got to have somebody that can do those things. And while doing that, making sure that they're keeping you guys compliant, they're adding to your profitability, and they're turning in clean paperwork, and you're not running into any issues on the back end. This is super critical. And I think this is going to be something that's going to be really important, in this year going forward. You got to have the right people in there working those deals, people that know how to read credit, people that have relationship with the lenders, people that actually let the lender reps actually come in and sit down when they, try to visit and not shun them away. You want people that do that because those people have the knowledge, not just the knowledge from the lender and what the lender is telling them, which is important as well, but they're going from store to store. These are people that can let your people know what's going on elsewhere, what's working for other people, if they just build a relationship with these vendors. So very important, for them to do that. Uh, with the lender reps and also with your product reps, your service contract reps and so on. Guys, this is going to be a really great year for those who are committed to the grind, to those who have everything dialed in and they, are executing. But it's definitely not going to be easy. Those days are done. Those days are behind us. It's time to roll up your sleeves and go to work. And I think, when you get ready to roll up your sleeves and go to work, a few things you want to make sure you have with you is the right people, right processes, the right inventory, the right marketing plan, and a solid F&I department. If you have all those things, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have a kick-ass 2024. So I'm signing off. Just wanted to drop this real quick, share my thoughts with you. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Have a happy new year, guys.